And then he ran some of that Spirit Empress deck that we just saw, the Lava deck. So Sub trying all things out. Then he went to Minor Gob Hut with Curse and Barrel. So trying a bunch of different stuff. We'll see what he brings out here in game number 1. Looking kind of like Royal Giant.
All right, Royal Giant versus Hugo with another set of Minor Wallbreakers Evo bats. This deck we've seen a lot in CRL last month and this month. It's really interesting. It's not like the super quick cycle deck of like super controlled Minor that we're used to seeing. It's just a little bit more expensive, a little bit more bait oriented, which I guess does make sense with all of the strong bait Evos there are.
Yeah, and if I'm Hugo right now, I'm thinking about how much value my Evo Bats can get. I'm thinking about how much value my Spear Goblins can get. And then, honestly, how much difficulty I think I'm going to have holding that front line with just the Mighty Miner when you talk about the Fish Boy, the Royal Ghost, and, of course, that Evo Hunter kind of being able to lock him in place. So we'll see how Hugo wants to defend as things go on while also keeping up pressure. Like you said, a little bit faster than an RG deck, but not as fast as traditional Minor Wallbreakers decks, although when you start factoring in that 3-card cycle and double elixir, can speed it up just a bit.
Yeah, true. I'm interested to see the building here. I'm assuming a Goblin Hut, but Goblin Hut's kind of like historically not great versus RG, although Sub is not using log, he's using Barbarian Barrel. So I actually think it's going to provide way more value than it usually does. Because usually the log, like with a couple RG shots and then the log, you can easily take out the Goblin Hut, but the Barbarian Barrel will not reach that far.
Hugo making subs spend there and doing a really nice job defensively. Gets a log out just in time to kind of predict the E-Spirit coming in to reset the Mighty Miner. So the Gob Hut plus the Mighty Miner was more than enough. And a missed Royal Ghost there, just a little bit late. Does waste the log also, and kind of a bummer there, evening things up after having a nice lead was Hugo.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that Sub is going to be able to take advantage of. There we go, Royal Giant in the back. He's going to set up a big old push. Hugo trying to apply pressure, but he places mine in the front. That's a mistake, because now the Fireball can hit everything. E-Spirit doesn't take out Evo back, so Fireball, he should have known the Fireball was forced out there. Mine in the back could have been slightly better, but, I mean, despite that, the defense of this Royal Giant is really solid. It seems like the Royal Giant was... It was just completely gone.
Should get a shot.
Yeah, it does get one hit, but wow. I guess here comes another one, though.
Miner there to distract the first Fisherman. The second Fisherman comes down to pull the Mighty Miner. And Fisherman just getting yanked around there, but damage done from the Spears. I mean, yeah, it is crazy to just... we talked about it a lot last month, so I don't want to, beat a dead horse, but just seeing the Goblin Hut do so much better than it ever has in the history of my career in CRL and in Clash Royale in general has been nice. RG going to come through here. Going to get two? No, just the one shot with the Evo Bats coming back down. 1917 to 2004. Very, very close here as Hugo tries to get back on offense on the left-hand side, but doesn't really get anything out of it.
Mighty Miner on the board, setting up for the defense. Spear Gobs now as well. Tower is hitting the Hunter, but does get that one shot. That's going to really change things, making so the 3-card cycle won't be able to stay on the board for as long as the Mighty Miner does go down. And a Royal Giant pressuring at the bridge. I love this pressure, as Hugo did use a lot of elixir on offense there.
Yeah, and that
oh boy,
elixir did get him a little bit of a lead and 200 on the left-hand side, but now dealing with those decisions, the repercussions of the overspend. Tower all the way down to 789 as Sub screams into the lead. 1664 is his lowest tower, 789 is Hugo's with only 48 seconds remaining here. Triple elixir in. I don't know how Hugo is going to get more damage on tower. He needs about 1,000 right now.
Fireball forced onto the Evo Bats. Skelly Barrel plus Bats plus Spear Gobs to the bridge right inside. He knows he has to make something happen. He tries to pre-log the E-Spirit, but it's barely one tile off to the side. He still gets quite a lot of damage. Hugo maybe lagging a little bit, but either way, the game continues. Super close. Poison dropping down from Hugo. Only 13 seconds left, Andrew.
Fireball in. Miner goes to the back. Miner does get caught up the Ewas, but then is on the tower. Poison is in again. Miner's still there. Fireball comes down, and it will be Sub stealing it in the final moments. And that got real Real close. Really.
Yeah.
On paper, I'm curious to see as we hop into game number 2.
All right. So Hugo with another Golden Eye. It is cool to see Golden Eye being used more and more after that buff that it got not too long ago. Sub with what's looking like just Roll Hogs. So Roll Hogs, Archer Queen versus a P.E.K.K.A. Golden Knight. Maybe a similar bridge spam deck that we saw in the first best of 3. It'll be interesting to see what Sub... Okay, Sub not with the Roll Hogs. Going to be probably another Miner deck, perhaps.
Yeah, it looks like maybe just like Miner control again with Berserker. Berserker has been really popular lately. I'm a huge fan of Berserker, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool card, really fun. I love the high DPS, and especially the defensive capabilities there. So Rocket comes out early this time for Sub, as we saw one in a deck earlier, but didn't get it played to clean up that Ram Rider plus P.E.K.K.A.
Okay, Lumberjack in the back, trying to get the Evo in cycle. Golden Knight Bridge trying to apply pressure. Miner on defense. That is the only bad thing about Berserker. I love it as well, but a lot of the time it doesn't have much HP. So as you can see here, it's really hard to deal with these tankier kind of bridge spam units. Otherwise, continuing to spawn in even more Roll Hogs, and there it is, another Miner force on defense. I think that's what we're going to see a lot of this match. I think we're going to see a lot of Miners forced on defense. And he's low in Elixir. He doesn't have enough for Tesla. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Ram Rider connects, and you can see Sub shaking his head. Oh my gosh, and it's not ending. Goblin Curse down. Maybe a little bit of an overcommit with his God Curse. I don't love it.
I don't love the God Curse, but I love the Ram Rider. You called it. No Elixir in the tank for Sub. Tons of punishment comes in. Now ahead by 1,300 HP, 27-19 to 14-15 as we get into double Elixir. And Juicy, you know this just as well as anyone. Being down 1,300 HP with Miner control is a tough hill to climb over the next 45 seconds here of regulation.
So yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, we saw Lucas struggle in a matchup like this in the first best of 3 of today, and that was when he just wasn't able to get a good starting damage in single Elixir. Now we have a situation where Sub is actually down quite a bit of damage in this matchup. It's going to make things exponentially more difficult, especially as an evil P.E.K.K.A. walks towards the tower.
Wow.
1, 2. Is it 3?
Good hit.
Almost 3, but the Ram Rider with a huge connection on the right side. The dual lane pressure is absolutely perfect from Hugo as he is connecting on both lanes. Sub almost beside himself, not even sure what just happened to him in game number 2 of this best of 3. I think in general, most of the time for Clash Royale League, you're going to be seeing a lot of the Miner decks, the log bait decks, the quick cycle decks with buildings and spells. Those decks really control the Boss Man and Skelly King double spirit decks really well. And after me saying all of this, we're going to see Sub playing it, it seems, right now. But maybe a little bit of a slightly different variation with the bat.
Yeah, both of them going to some fast decks with some baity aspects. We're going to see the Mortar here from Sub.
Okay, Mortar makes more sense. I think Mortar, as you know and everyone knows, is just such a consistent win condition in Clash Royale League, but also on ladder. I think this is a great deck pick here from Sub.
Yeah, and I also like that now because Skeleton Barrel is so strong that Mortar has found its way to have like a bunch of like half win conditions and not always just relying on the Miner plus the spell. Now we're seeing it without the Miner and with lighter spells, and that way you're able to, I guess at least in duel mode, use your Miner somewhere else, which is usually a necessity, whether you're going Lava Hound or, as we've seen a lot today, just trying to play some control decks. One thing that Sub has to think about, obviously, is going up against bait when he's got Cannoneer, so definitely going to have to take some damage from those double barrels, as we're seeing right here. 2013 on that right-hand side.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that Cannoneer, I mean, I talked about it earlier, actually. I think even in decks like this, where Cannoneer is historically better, a lot of the time it's fairly risky for situations like this. I think the Evo Barrel is going to be really tough for Sub to deal with. And Hugo on the other hand, I like the fact that he's not using Rocket as well. Like, he's just using the Princess and the Dark God variation. And the Princess is the bridge have been timed so well to deal with stuff like that and that Goblin game. Really good damage from Hugo. Really good plays already.
Yeah, I really like that. He goes barrel to the left side, princess to the left side, gets that on top of the goblin gang, gets good damage in, but also has to sacrifice a decent amount himself on that left-hand side. 23-27 to 18-45, and obviously Cannoneer starts with a lot less HP than the princess tower.
Skelly Barrel over the river, kind of distracting the princess for a second. Bossman on the board. Evo Tesla
He doesn't want to spend on the barrel.
Wow. Princess stays alive barely, but that Skelly Barrel does a lot of damage. Evo Mortar does take out the Dark God. Wow, this is getting crazy. Bossman is dashing everywhere. He's doing a good job of distracting this Mortar. Barbaro comes down, and here comes a counter push. I like the princess at the bridge as well. Arrows dropping down in bats, though. Honestly, I think this is overall a net positive for Sub in this situation. Kind of really coming down.
Yeah, as you can see, 1336 on the bottom right-hand side to 1357 actually takes the lead. Hugo did a decent job defending that left-hand side, but the cost was his right-hand tower really eating that skeleton barrel that he just completely ignored. It was originally there, as you said, to distract the princess, but then some weird interactions with the Evo Mortar kind of took too much focus away as we see another Mortar lock on the right-hand side, and now Sub super close to being able to take this best of 3. The one thing that Hugo can hang on to is that there's no direct tower damage other than the arrows, so Sub gonna have to really work for it.
Hugo's getting nervous now too. The princess at the bridge really struggling to do anything as the mortar is distracting. 3 bats in case of barrel. Now Skeleton at the bridge. Bossman it down. Here comes the Evo Skelly Barrel though. I'm not sure if he has Tesla back in cycle. He does get it down. Bossman is getting swarmed though. Barbarian Barrel is here, but the bats are making it to the tower. That's not quite Arrow's range, but if only one Spear God locks on the tower,
huge.
it is over. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Sub taking game number 3, advancing, and throwing down Hugo into the lower bracket.
Juicy, what are your thoughts on the matchup that we're about to see?
I'm really excited about this match, actually. We have the king of consistency versus a world champion, but not only that, Ruben was considered the best player during his time, during his prime. And if you had to pick someone between these two to win this best of 3, who you got?
Oh, man. Gosh, that is so tough.
This is really tough.
It feels wrong to pick Sub over Ruben, but I do just feel like Sub has been playing a lot more dialed in lately at the highest level.
Yeah.
I think that being said, I think I want to see Ruben win this set, but I have a feling that Sub might take it. That's where I'm at. I know it's like a weird half answer,
sense.
but I did give you an answer.
No, yeah, I actually completely agree with you. I 100% agree. I think that the one thing that I can see happen is obviously we have seen a few like small mistakes from Sub in the past in the first monthly finals. So if that happens, I think Ruben is going to be able to take full advantage of that. That's actually something that Ruben does best at in Clash Royale. I don't think I know anyone that basically takes more advantage of his opponent's mistakes than Ruben. But if Sub is able to like play perfect like he does most of the time, I think that's going to be a little bit more difficult for Ruben.
Yeah, Ruben was always kind of known for just slow playing, figuring out that one offensive push and then just completely obliterating you. And while obviously things have changed as the game has changed and evolved and other players have gotten better, that is still kind of his style, as it looks like he's running an RG Witch deck, I think, Juicy.
Yeah. Roll Giant
What do you think about Witch right now?
Good question. It's still used a lot. I don't love it. As you can see right there, like the nerf, it speaks for itself. On the right side, the cannon card was able to take it out before she could heal herself up. So it's definitely not as strong as it once was. That being said, any healing type card in Clash Royale is always going to have some sort of like usage. There's just so many different plays that can happen. Like if you can get like 2, for example, like the biggest one is if you can get 2 Eva Witches on the board, like that is really tough to be able to defend.
Yeah.
Sub does have the Fireball though, so as we're already seeing, the Fireball is getting some value here for sure.
And that Dark Goblin is going to be a bit of a problem, I feel like. Probably a Fireball from Ruben, I would think.
I love the Monk ability early.
Yep.
I think that you got to try to deflect the Fireball there, but Sub is patient. Sub is very patient. Dark God does get taken out though, but I mean, it just seems like we were just kind of yapping a bit, but like, I mean, that's our job. But also, like, how did his tower get down to 1,373? So much ship damage coming through, and Ruben's just in a tough spot here in overtime.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like chip damage is really what it's been. It's just been like a couple hundred here, a couple hundred there.
Yeah.
You know, the barrels coming through, a couple skeletons lasting longer than they should. Ruben trying to defend the barrels with like a witch and then a monk so he can have more units on the board. So it's literally just been stuff like that.
Wait. Oh, nice mortar. The roll giant got pushed aside by the monk there to try to bypass, but another mortar dropping down, not only defending, but attacking. This is really smart from Sub. Witch is getting taken out with the mortar plus fireball. Esport trying its best, but the Dargob locks on the tower. Tower's down to 2 fireball range, and Ruben has yet to make any offensive presence. Wow.
And you see him play a witch last second, maybe just saying, I don't want to quite give up, even though I already did give up, but I'm not going to. And now down to 172. Fireball going to come in and close out game number 1. Yeah, I mean, and there's the monk to try to block. I at least love the effort or the thought behind it all. Yeah, I don't know, man. That was really interesting, and I think it's actually... Yeah.
While we're waiting, when you play Clash Royale, this is everyone in the chat back home too can answer this. When you guys play Clash Royale, do you listen to music or no music game sound?
Interesting.
Because there's actually been like a very wide gap in the answer to that question. Like, I know pros that would go up on stage and listen to music instead of game sound on like the biggest stages, which is crazy.
Yeah, you know what? When I'm locked in, I have to have game sound on.
Yeah,
that's just the way that I play. Yeah, I feel like if I'm really trying, like you know, I play a lot still. I love the game. I still do, but most of the time when I'm playing, I'm not super locked in and I don't have game sound on. And the amount of times that just like a bandit has been down longer than it's supposed to be, or I'm a little bit later getting to some response because I didn't hear it first. It's just I can't imagine doing that at the highest level.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I do wonder. I feel like, I don't know why, but I feel like nowadays, I think it's like transitioned to be like everyone listens to game sound, whether it be for like Evos or who knows. But I do think that it locks you in a little bit. Despite that, let's look at a little bit closer at this matchup. Another Spear Empress from Ruben with maybe a mortar, like a mortar Spear Empress. And then Sub with the pretty, like, fairly popular drill Goblin Demolisher deck. I really like this deck. I've played it a lot. It's not, like, super really good in the meta, but it seems like it's very consistent, which is what we'd like to see at the highest level.
Early poison comes out, so maybe a late ability to come down from the Skeleton King. No, just decides to hold the trigger on it, eats that Evo Snowball. 2285 for Ruben and 2786 for Sub.
Oh my goodness.
Evo Tesla, yeah, just destroys the Evo barrels.
Wow, that is such a cool interaction. It's one of my favorite interactions. One of the best cards are Skeleton Barrel. The fact that it has the initial stun that wipes out the skeletons, and it goes back underground when the skeleton barrel, when it thinks the skeleton barrel is gone, and then it pops back up to wipe out the next skeletons. Not only really just kind of taking everything out, but preventing for any other push to happen on that side until the Tesla's gone.
Yeah, I actually don't even know if I've seen that interaction very many times, but it is a fun one.
A lot of pressure from Ruben trying to break through. I think this is something that Ruben is going to struggle to make happen though versus these Teslas. It seems like the offense for Sub is a lot more straightforward here, as the drill snowball kind of speaks for itself in offense. But it's really on Ruben to break through with this mortar or the Evo mortar. If he's able to, he's got to win the bag. But it's looking like really good defense from Sub. But the Sub is pretty low in elixir. Wait a second. Is the mortar locked? No. It's distracted by the Fire Spirit.
Yeah, good Fire Spirit there last second. Almost an opportunity. I would love to see Ruben maybe get more Skeleton Kings down on the back of the map, just so he can kind of get his cycle a little bit faster, try to keep up with these double buildings maybe. Maybe try to even get 2 mortars down on the board. I'm not sure, but as of right now, I feel like not getting that Skeleton King down to help speed up his cycle is really hurting because of what you're talking about. It just seems like Sub has defense locked down. So how do you get ahead of defense? You gotta hasten your cycle.
Right. Fireball does drop down, but the Tesla's there to clean the mortar. We have 10 seconds until Triple Elixir overtime. I'm not going to lie. I feel like Sub has even more of an advantage then, as we're going to continue to see Drill, Poisons, and even more Evo Teslas, more Evo Snowballs in cycle.
Skeleton King in the back, 22:05, 25:39, 53 seconds remaining. Ruben has created very little offense in both of these games.
Okay, Mortar's going to take him out. Okay, wait, the Spear Empress doesn't take damage. I love this dueling
another
pressure.
mortar has to come down. This is pretty good. He needs to get something in front of the mortar now.
Right. Spear Empress is really cleaning up, does a lot of damage. But the poison drops. The Knight is tanking, and that poison just seemingly taking out everything on the right-hand lane.
It does really seem like those poisons are doing more than normal poison does for Sub right now, which is perfect timing, perfect placement. Every single time. Cannon is down. Demolisher's there. Tesla comes down again. And Ruben just runs into a force that is Sub. Just I mean, it looks pretty close, actually, on paper.
Yeah. I was like, you were talking, and I saw Fireball. I was like, wait, how much damage does Fireball do again? But, yeah, you're right. Sub does clean up a nice 2-0 sweep.
Who is a world champion and numerous times world finalist, was very impressive here from Sub.
Yeah, I like what you said, where it seems like Ruben couldn't make anything
of gameplay. How do you view the way that these two guys match up today?
Yeah, it's so tough. It is so much closer than the community prediction. I mean, 81%.
Like Royal Hogs, Queen, Earthquake, and then some Lava Hounds. So curious to see if we get a similar fast cycle versus medium heavy situation today out of Lucas and Sub.
Yeah, Lucas is one of those players where if you don't have your coach in your ear and you don't have the ability to workshop decks with them, make sure that you're countering everything, he's just one of the scariest players in the world. He is so smart, so talented, and he's just played so many games that it feels like he's always ready to do one thing different than every other player. He's not going to go crazy off meta, but he will choose one different card that's going to flip a matchup that it shouldn't flip. And that's definitely one of the specialties of Lucas. And Lucas, wow, running E-Giant. This is pretty interesting.
This is kind of the opposite, I was thinking, right? We have Sub going fast cycle with the Hog, and Lucas turning heavy. So both guys, especially Lucas, trying to subvert expectations. And speaking of expectations, everybody, on the left-hand side of your screen, rewards, watch them, and unlock special stuff. We're about halfway to our first reward drop of the day. So make sure you stick around to catch that one. And we'll have those throughout this Championship Sunday for the CALALAS Cup here in CRL.
Sub trying to figure out his next move. Going to cycle the Firecracker in the back. Lucas, he should have the Evo Cage in cycle. So when we take a look at the matchup, the E-Giant probably should have the NATO as well. This is interesting. Okay, is it NATO Lightning? Is that what we're thinking coming in from Lucas right here?
Only time will tell as we get into our double elixir, and Brawler might get one, and does. 27-15 on the right-hand side. Lucas narrowing the gap as he has the 2-lane damage Hog into the left-hand side. Cage to cover. And that should, with the King Tower's help, yeah, it wasn't a perfect placement on the cage, but activated King Tower cleans up the damage.
And right there, Sub doing a beautiful job of protecting his Firecracker. The Hog will not make it to the Crown Tower because it is going to activate the King with the NATO coming in from Lucas. But I mean, Sub's defense on that Firecracker, and then it's still plugging and chugging away. That was absolute perfection from him. And a well-deserved shot on top of the tower.
And that's now the most significant damage of the round. 25-52 plus a little chip on the Golden Knight. Barb Barrel to target the Firecracker. Hog goes left-hand lane for Sub as he plays defense on the right-hand side. Cage Evo to pick up and handle the Hog Rider. And the NATO pulls everything into the E-Giant, but not going to be enough to create a breakthrough. And Josh, now NATO out of cycle, no cage. Hog going to get some big time shots here. What does Lucas need to do to actually break through here and create some real damage on tower?
Yeah, the cannons coming in from Sub, it just feels like he's not really finding it difficult. A lot of the times, even when you see these easy wins, they're still making all sorts of plays. Sub, he's just kind of doing the same thing, and that's all that needs to happen. Lucas, I believe he just needs to kind of wait for triple elixir or wait for a mistake. And right there, the E-Giant making it to tower, getting it down to 21-19, almost evening it up. But now no NATO in cycle. This could be a pretty big push coming in right here.
EQ gonna help with that cage. Hog gonna get 2 shots here, down to 10:45. So just as Lucas sees some light at the end of the tunnel, the rocks start to fall from the walls with triple elixir against Q cycle.
Yeah, Lucas just really struggling, trying to figure out how in the world he can just do anything. And so far, not coming to any sort of conclusion. We're going to see a NATO in, but these firecrackers are still just staying alive. This is way too easy for them.
Evo Inferno in the back. Cage trying to hold. EQ getting the hog through. 2:31 remaining, and now Lucas is trying to find some way to sell out at the bridge. Golden Knight gets some connections. 11 seconds left. No way to break through. EQ will just make sure the gap is enough. Log to clear, and Sub going to take game number 1 as the script is flipped from last year's World Finals. Sub going fast cycle. Lucas, the one cutting caught flat-footed with the beatdown deck.
Yeah, or you can easily find some sort of variation. We saw the guards get used in the drill deck from our previous set, but you can just swap it from gobs like we saw in Sandbox. So yeah, Sub 1-0 and just has everything available to him. And there we go. We might see the drill goblins variation that Sandbox used. We will be seeing this shortly.
Berserker comes out to get the cleanup. First little chip damage in both directions. 27-32, 29-98. Goblinstein out here for Lucas.
Fire Spirit getting the jump on top of the tower and the Doctor. And right here, Goblin Demolisher not able to make it all the way. Sub using a classic drill. Lucas having some fun with it and using the Galmenstein drill. I don't really see this deck all that often. I've seen a few of them with the Goblin Hut, so I wouldn't be shocked if we see that. We'll still have to wait on the last 2 cards.
Things slowing down a bit after the opening salvos, although now Lucas maybe heard me and decided to go full send. You're going to get a little bit out of that one as some of the goblins get on tower, and a little bit turns into a lot. Lucas opens up the lead by over 500.
Goblin Hut on defense, going to be able to take out the Demolisher and chip away at the Knight. Still going to need 1 or 2 more cards coming in from Lucas. And the Bomber, will it be enough? It's going to take it out, but the Knight is going to be able to get 1 shot.
Goblinstein out one more time for Lucas. And that, Josh, kind of just felt like I would like you to play some cards, please, with Lucas.
Yeah, just trying to get a cycle right, trying to get the Evos in. And right here, I mean, the Berserker, as great a card as it is. Oh, and right there, very nice interaction. The Evo Snowball with the Evo Bomber. Gorgeous gameplay from Lucas.
What a connection. What an absolute connection, right? For a moment there, I was looking at the Evo Snowball at the bridge and going, why is he sending all the troops right back to his drill? And Lucas just showing off some of the brilliance and thought process and turning that into a massive connection, and suddenly this game is completely turned upside down.
Yeah, that was absolutely the play of the day so far. I've seen that interaction, I'm sure, somewhere, but to be able to pull it off at the live stage, at the big stage, that was incredible.
snowball in, and now with sudden death, only 409 on the right-hand side. The formula is written. Lucas just has to defend and slowly chip away here and not make any major mistakes.
Right there, quite a bit of chip damage coming in from that drill. The drill for Lucas, not going to be able to put in that much work, but still has an absolutely massive advantage. And Evo Bomber should be close to getting in the cycle. Might not matter getting it down to 24 HP. Yep.
And GG, Evo Snowball getting its flowers on this one, as gets both the winning blow and down 24 cards, being down 32 cards in Game 5, right? Things really changed there, but that's kind of why I said best of 3 in particular. Seems
Yeah.
Seems like it's less valuable there. Either way, that's the pass. Let's move on to the future. Game number 3. Loser will drop down into the elimination bracket. And Lucas coming out with some quick cycle.
Sub going to be running what's probably going to be the Mortar Bar Barrel. Oh, okay. So, yeah, Sub going to be running the Ice Wizard Skeleton King Mortar deck. And then Lucas on the other side could be RG, but RG with Tesla seems kind of odd. Still kind of just waiting to see what his final couple cards are.
Mortar not going to connect. Well distracted. And Sub trying to keep pressure on. And he'll get 2 spears for his effort, plus more pressure coming in. And Hog for distraction.
So Hog Wizard instead of Hog Firecracker. I mean, Lucas had the opportunity to run the Firecracker, run the Cannon, run the Log. Instead electing him to go with the Evo Wizard. Pretty interesting decision coming in from Lucas.
You know, when you think about this Evo Wizard, though, you have the ability to contend with a Skeleton Barrel. There is lots of splashy stuff, or lots of swarmy stuff on the board. And then now we get some protection with the Monk right in front. Evo Wizard creating a problem here.
Yeah, this is an absolute massive push coming in from Lucas, the Monk, doing a beautiful job of protection and getting the tower down to 680. Sub, I mean, the thing is, Lucas still has the Hog EQ going against a Mortar deck that doesn't really cycle all that well. This is Lucas just in a beautiful spot right now.
Mortar up high, pressure now moving on the side of Sub, trying to play the catch-up game, getting some damage in. 1773 on the right-hand tower. Cannoneer just taking its time, and these Hogs have been getting kind of some at-will shots.
Yeah, and that is one of the strongest pushes I've ever seen for being as clunky as it was. The Wizard plus the Skeletons, put the Skeletons in front, so that way the Cannoneers locked onto the wrong thing. Monk again getting a beautiful, just a beautiful situation for it. Lucas putting on a clinic, no mistakes right now.
Earthquake cycles to the left-hand lane. This is kind of the last chance for Sub. Not facing elimination yet, but of course you want to play from the upper bracket as long as you can. Sub now with the Log out. Earthquake to cover, but that's going to be some good damage. Skeleton King still going. 1591 Mortar at the bridge. Will it get a connection? Yes, it will. Lucas has to be careful not making any major errors here. Evo Tesla to cover. And that should be enough to get things done. Log will go ahead behind, and Sub knows he gave himself a shot at the end, but not quite enough. Lucas gonna continue on in our upper bracket.
His plays, there's so many things to dissect and recognize. Oh my goodness, this is why he did it. I just blown away from the level that Lucas showed. Oh, who is this guy? He's just using E-Giant. Is he that skilled? And then we're still seeing him 4 or 5 years later, and it's like, it gives you the opportunity to make a name for yourself, have people recognize you, and then it gives you a platform to get your practice right, where you're finally playing against these pros because you just had 1 month of success. It's always a great situation when you've always got a chance.
So here we go into another elimination matchup as Sub and Mugi will be playing for the chance to continue along, add to their points, and potentially get a gold or silver ticket. And as I said before, having made the top 6 today and earned a guaranteed 60 points in the leaderboard, Sub is, at least for the moment, our points leader, not counting our already qualified, actually even counting Ian, who just has 100 points from winning our first monthly final. So Sub is currently top of the leaderboard. He would love to take the leaderboard out of the conversation, but we'll see if he can at least add to those points here against the 2-time.
The is how Mega Knight is for like mid-level ladder players. Every time I go against the Evo Witch, I think it's the greatest card ever created inside this game. I'm excited to see it finally get played today. I have been kind of just waiting around to see if people are going to try and build it into their decks. That's exactly what we're going to see. Mugi answering my prayers.
Magic Archer working from the back. Kind of standard here to get the cleanup. And NATO now will get good value, tower and 2 troops. As the Evo Witch continues to create pressure, big opening salvo from Mugi.
Yeah, and right there, kind of a mistake with the bar barrel. Not exactly sure how he should have placed it. Maybe on top of the ghost. There had to have been a better answer, and he's going to take a lot of chip damage. He went out to a very strong start, but Sub clawing his way back in and takes a lead.
Which will take the Magic Archer off the board, and Evo Valk to hold in front and try to prevent the Golden Knight from doing much more. Cannon Cart, though, in second phase, gets rid of the Witch. But now Mugi will set up in the back and try to prepare for another big graveyard push. Lead given away. Sub, our points leader, currently in the lead in game 1 against Mugi.
Bar barrel to take out the Magic Archer and get a little bit of offensive pressure. Not going to work exactly the way he was looking for. This Magic Archer, I mean, it doesn't do a ton of damage. I mean, it's almost lined up on the tower. But luckily, Mugi not taking any chip damage. And these witches, when they're working together, you don't have a big spell, there is a very few sites that are scary.
Evo Snowball kind of gives a reset to the evolved witch. Graveyard with no support. But the longer that Mugi keeps the Evo Witch on the board here, the better things can get for him. Back to another.
Another Evo Witch, but this is, once it gets down to almost triple elixir, real close, you know your opponent is trying to get that one huge Golden Knight dash, but no NATO in from Sub. This entire time I thought he had NATO. Instead, just going all defense, and so far it's working, but I feel like you really need the NATO in these kind of decks. You want that last dash onto the tower.
And that was a nice Magic Archer out of Sub. Yes, it got taken out by the Evo Witch, but recognizing the poison out of cycle, get a free Magic Archer on the board, and did. But now Graveyard Poison going to start adding to that tally on the left-hand side. 45 seconds left, and now going to be around 800, just north of 800 points.
The
and
dash.
The Golden Knight gets all the way in. Wow.
Yeah, that's why you basically don't even need NATO. Mugi is going to have to absolutely watch out for these bridge Magic Archers, the Evo Valk coming in, and it's going to clean that up. There's still one extra cannon cart. The Witch does take it out. We need the bar barrel. We need something. Another Golden Knight dash could be on its way. It's not going to make it to the tower, and he does have to protect it. He does with the Evo Witch. We need a Graveyard on top of the tower.
Poison down. Evo Snowball to clear. And Sub gonna take game number 1 away from Mugi and be 1 win away from eliminating a 2-time world champion.
Yeah, Sub absolute
Over here kind of in Sub's territory. and he moved it. Oh, now we're done. So he moved it closer to the bridge, and then that Goblin Hut moved the fight kind of over into the first couple tiles of Moogie's side of the bridge. And at that point, with this very spammy drill deck, there was not much Moogie could do to defend against the inevitable.
Yeah. I'm kind of disappointed. I understand why, but I am disappointed that I didn't get to see the rest of your presentation.
See me keep trying to do my hand there like that?
Yeah. Yeah. I was following along quite well.
Well, thank you. I do get paid to talk on occasion. Monk gonna go ahead and clean all that up with the Hunter, and now just an early full send from Sub. Hunter getting on tower. The RG happy to tank those shots. 18:05 on the left-hand side, as this counter push will get some, and Sub full send very, very low on Elixir. I think he's back to Electro Spirit. Note goes Barb Barrel instead. Ice Wiz gets a couple of shots, so it all does come out in the Brazilian's favor.
Yeah, both players even on Elixir. Moogie should have... Actually, I don't even know if he needs the Spirit Goblins. Instead, allowing his tower to take it out fully. And Sub, like you said, up 600 HP, but Moogie, he should have the Evo Skeleton Barrel next, potentially. He's we should see that shortly coming in from him.
Skeleton King will go ahead and get murked. Does get one shot off. Where do you see the biggest damage potential coming for Moogie in this one here, Josh, as he's have to play a lot of mortars on defense? Skeleton Barrel, now he does get one up high. Do you think it's mostly the troops and Skelly Barrel stuff, or does he really need to get some mortar connections to win this one?
Yeah, he just needs to make sure that he's going both lanes. It's going to be incredibly difficult for Sub to stop it if he gets the correct pressure. And right here, we see that it should be a lock on top of the tower. It is. And now the left tower is down to 1651. Right tower at 2020. He can apply enough pressure where Sub can't stop it. And so he just needs to be constantly swapping lanes.
Evo Hunter will ground the Skeleton Barrel, feeding the Skelly King on defense, and so early ability popped by Moogie's champion.
Hunter staying just alive to get one last shot on top of the RG. Arrows coming down. Cannon Cart not going to get on top of the tower or anything, but should be able to clean up everything fairly nicely. And so Sub's counter push kind of limping along at this point.
4 HP is the separator with 90 seconds left. Evo Mortar sets up in the defensive position. And Sub should be gearing up for another Royal Giant push here in just a moment. Maybe gonna let this one, there we go. Decides to put it in front of the low health Hunter. The reflection of the Monk onto the mortar doing its work. Do we see another mortar? Mortar up high. Moogie trying to get double value. Not gonna be able to get on tower for this one. Does get taken off by an opportune Electro Spirit. 52 seconds left, dual lane pressure for Moogie.
Right there, the Spirit Goblin still getting some chip damage on top of the tower. Arrows coming in to take care of some of the rest of the troops. And that Monk just staying alive just a little bit is going to make Sub's life considerably easier.
RG should get one. And it does. 8:07 remaining. Lead for Sub. Can he do it? Can he take out the two-time world champion?
Moogie just praying that he can get his troops on top of the tower. The Barb Barrel does get missed by a little bit. It's not going to be enough, though. 878 to 700. Going to cycle as quickly as he can, but so will Sub. And Sub going to take it. 2-0 against Moogie. About his gameplay. It's so consistent, so few mistakes. We saw it with game number 1, where he finally was allowed a Golden Knight activation on top of the tower. The small when we won everything was $100 split 10 ways. I worked for 12 weeks for $10.
Love to see the evolution of the game as we get into our third place match and a chance to challenge either Mohamed Light or Lucas for a shot in our grand final. Sub and Sandbox. And you know what? I will say this, Josh. This has maybe been one of the most narrow metas that we've seen in a monthly final. You know, thinking about the decks that we've seen some variations on RG, some variations on Hog. We've seen the Skelly Barrel Mortar deck. We've seen the Goblin Giant deck, and then like an Electro Giant and that Giant deck once. But I really will say, I do think this has been kind of one of the narrowest metas in recent memory for a monthly final.
Yeah, I would absolutely have to agree. It's pretty. I can't tell. Because it's only going to be for like a month or two, it's definitely not the end of the world. It's not like we're going to see this be the exact same thing in another 2 months. And so it really is interesting and fun to watch when all these players only have 4 different decks. Like, we're going to see new decks get forced out once it hits the, you know, a best of 5 or something, just because there's only been 4 decks get played so far.
I mean, we've seen Royal Hogs, we've seen some Bridge Spam, we've seen some Drill, we saw Graveyard once. So I'd be remiss if I didn't kind of give the notice of where we've seen some of these other things pop up. But it really has, you said, kind of been centered around these 4 decks, including a lack of bait today. And we did see the one Lava Hound, but so maybe it's more perception than reality when I'm talking about a narrow map.
And right here, this is a pretty strong push. The Bar Barrel, it's really strong on defense. It's going to be kind of terrible on offense. And Sandbox's entire game, it felt like he was just doing whatever he could to apply, like, kind of fake pressure. It wasn't real pressure. Sub always had a consistent answer to it. And this was just kind of a weird match to watch and to commentate for. I'm not a big fan of Sandbox's deck, and we're hitting the point where it's just easy for these RGs to make it on top of the tower.
And that reflection to chew up a lot of what Sandbox was hoping for on defense. Boss Bandit doing her job to hold the line at the bridge. This Fisherman totally healthy. And so now with a 3 elixir advantage, we'll see if Sub can continue. And yeah, that's going to be enough to finish this off. GG, well played. Game number 1 for Sub, and never broke a sweat despite the sweatshirt.
Make sure that I'm doing well in all these tournaments that I possibly can do. And I mean, we see it in his gameplay, but also his decks chosen. It feels like it's just at least giving himself an opportunity to win every single time. And there's so many players where even when we take a look at Sandbox's game number 1 deck, he never had an opportunity to win. Sub makes sure that he always has an opportunity.
When we talk about a guy, and we talk about New Blood, his competitive career didn't really start until 2022, and he only played a couple of events, right? He played in GKR as like a lower, lower sub, a substitute player for Sub. Did a little bit of Royale Masters in that time, but really 2023 was kind of the kickoff of his real competitive career, and he had some good moments here and there in 2023, but was again still just kind of on the outside looking in as a semi-pro. And then last year, big breakout season, having multiple appearances on the monthly final last year, and made his way to Worlds, top 4 finish, and suddenly Sub is a real factor in the competitive Clash Royale conversation.
And right there, and not a huge fan of the Skeleton Dragons. It felt like it was a little bit too easy to clean up. The Goblin Cage, in response to the Bridge Hog, is going to put in a ton of work, but Sandbox does have the lead right now. The Evo Wizard and the Evo Tesla definitely going to create some problems for Sub as he tries to get across. It's going to be interesting to see what the last 2 cards are for Sub. We have to assume arrows are probably going to be one of the cards for Sub. And then I just can't tell if it's going to be a Valk or if it's going to be a Loon. I'm really hoping to see Loon come in from Sub.
Well, some time to see as the Lava Hound sets up in the back. Mega Minion making an appearance in this deck as well, which is, you know, your rewind, Mega Minion was at one point in every other deck, and that's changed dramatically. And it is the Evo Valk. Arrows clear, get the shield off.
Yeah, just a little too early with the arrows, though. He would have been able to take out the Tesla had he been a 10th of a second later. Instead, not going to change too many things because the Skeleton Dragons are going to be protected. And the tower is locked onto the lava. That is massive for Sub right here.
Monk does go for the reflection late, and none of the pups. It felt like maybe the top pup would turn to the tower. They don't. And so what was a continuous threatening push, not quite as bad for Sandbox, although Elixir lead still potentially there. Cage high, needs to stop this hog. Evo Valk will do its job. Sandbox probably has one good defense left that he needs to make. Does he hog under this? Or does he just have to hold off against it?
Sandbox doesn't have a ton of elixir right here. Sub electing to go in with the Skeleton Dragons instead of something different. And Sandbox shaking his head. Sub with the 2-0 sweep. Absolute perfection at the end of his game. Showcasing, his Supercell water bottle. Always got to show off the water bottle. And
the swag. Or will he have to defend his life against Mohamed Light? We'll see that in a little bit. Man, Sub, you know, some crazy things. We saw him just do it against Mohamed Light, and it almost paid off. Maybe a misstep here or there. And we don't know as much about Sub and how he reacts to some of those more creative concepts and how he digs in to that creativity. I mean, we've seen Lucas do weird stuff in Clash Royale when he wants to for a long time. So I'm definitely
make it. You're not going to get a ton of opportunities unless you're Mohamed Light. If you are making it to the top 8, the top 4, the top 2, you take those risks because that's the reason why you are just. If you want to set yourself up for success, risks are the way to go. So I wouldn't be shocked if we still see, you know, some regular decks coming in from Sub. And I think it would probably make more sense that if it happens starting next month. Oh my goodness, this dash has just been incredible.
My word.
Yeah. But Lucas teaching everybody how to play Boss Bandit apparently. And let's head into game number 1.
And again, that QR code on the left-hand side of your screen still active to give you your rewards in game, so go ahead and get them. And Lucas starting to set up. Cannon will pick up the battle ram.
Very good wall breakers. The correct one going in front, so that way it forced out a response from Lucas. Couldn't allow just the tower to take out one of those. And Goblin Barrel coming in from Sub, forcing out the cannon cart in response. So Sub getting the right tower down just a little bit and still has his towers untouched.
So interesting here. This is, I think, the exact same deck that Sub ran in game number 1 against Vitor in his first ever CRL BO5. And looking piece by piece, and yeah, this is the same deck, same Evos. And I'm curious if Lucas and his team are going to recognize that. This was a situation where Vitor won game 1 in that matchup, also playing a bridge spam deck. It was with the Evo P.E.K.K.A. and no Boss Bandit. It was a Golden Knight in that deck, but kind of almost exactly the same notes as we had when Sub faced Vitor in the same situation last month.
So, Lucas, not totally sure about the matchup percentage between these two decks. It's definitely got to be relatively close to even, but this Boss Bandit plus the Ghost, it's just so hard for Sub to have the proper responses, especially with how good Lucas is at activating these abilities. And that is another dash incoming. It is insane. It's like he can press his ability whenever he wants to, almost.
Battle ram down. It's evolved form, cannon cart behind. Zap clears, Ghost clears. One touch. Barb's trying to connect, cannon cart giving support here. King Tower activation almost happens. And now it's the Evo barrel opposite direction for Sub.
Barb able to take out one of the wall breakers, so not the end of the world for him. And the Heal Spirit not going with the troops, instead of going to go on top of the tower. And it's still going to get a little bit of chip damage, so that can be important. Right there, kind of a big mistake. There's no way that that's the interaction that he was looking for, is it?
I can't imagine so. 90 seconds left, and now the pressure's starting to build here as Lucas starts to go all in at the bridge. Evo Valk looking to cover. The Heal Spirit keeps things alive for a moment. And will this curse turn into success? And it does. Boss Bandit gets on tower, and Sub just backs up and goes, all right, you got me. And he finds himself in back-to-back months using this exact same deck and dropping game one to bridge spam.
He only makes it to these top four, these top sixes month after month because he's willing to adapt, willing to get ready. So I expect something new from him.
Well, here we go. Hog Rider in game number 2 for for Sub. Now, what I'm curious about, and I'm keeping an eye on it, and no, it's not an exact match. He's varying up the Hog Rider deck because he did play Hog Rider in that deck set, but he played a Boss Bandit variation with the skeleton, or with the guards as opposed to skeletons. So, switching things up here as Lucas goes Lava Void. Not on my bingo card for this one.
Yeah, same here. And right now, the Mighty Miner getting a ton of value. Was able to stop the Electric Dragon for a minute, allowing the Tesla to put in work, and then also takes out a lot of the Valve. Question is, how does Sub want to defend this? Could go in with another Mighty Miner? No. Okay, is able to get back to the Tesla. Was thinking that he wanted to go in with a Mighty Miner and pop the ability, but the Tesla works as well.
And slowing things down after the Lava Loon. And with 90 seconds left, it's Sub who takes the first swing, and the hammer does connect. 21-34 to 23-12. And Lucas Lavas into the same lane.
Lucas doing a great job of recognizing how to play the matchup, getting as many Lavas down on the board. We're probably going to see a Void, and we do. And the Void not able to take out more of the Tesla, still getting out quite a big chunk of it. And that's going to be able to reach. So Spirit Empress, I mean, yeah, the Empress doing a great job of taking everything out, and Sub going to be struggling quite a bit right here. Going to retarget to the Tesla, so that Loon is going to put in some work. I would love to see Prediction Arrows, not going to see it because of the Mighty Miner on defense. And that's still just a great response from Sub. I mean, he doesn't have the perfect cards to defend everything, but so far doing an absolute incredible job. Void taking out another one of those firecrackers.
This will be good damage here. This will be good damage here from Sub. But now the Lava Hound setting up with decent elixir. And this feels like, Josh, it might be the push that things change on. Inferno Dragon might be in its evolved form for this push. Loon gets behind the lava. that Tesla been on the board for quite a while here, and here we go. Evolved Inferno behind. Mighty Miner goes for its bomb, but with this Void trying to do some clearing and great job protecting, Firecracker stays up. And while this one didn't do all the damage that Lucas wanted, he's going to come out ahead on Elixir.
Yeah, we see Lucas shake his head. It feels like every single one of Lucas's pushes are almost doing what they're supposed to do. It just feels like there's something missing so far, and that's all the fair play in the world to Sub. I mean, the way he's crafting his defenses has been incredible, but this is definitely going to be one of those things. Can he defend it once again properly? Valk plus Loon taken out again. Sub, beautiful defense.
And the Mighty Miner chewing up a lot of those daggers, forces guards to get involved. And now Lucas going 2 lanes. Tesla should be able to get back. Gonna go ahead and defend with the Firecracker. Tesla misses, and that drop suddenly changes things up a little bit.
Going in with a Mighty Miner at the bridge. Empress plus guards able to take out a lot of the hawk, but it might no. This might just power down. Oh, it is.
Wow.
Lucas cannot stop the hog.
Which pros, and of course that could change between now and World Finals, obviously, based on who makes it to World Finals and how these relationships evolve, but I don't know if you have any insight on that.
I don't have a ton of insight so far this year. That's definitely something that I need to look into, and next month, I'm telling you, ask me it again, I'll have a brilliant answer for you. So here we are, game number 3. Ice Spirit plus Rage coming out from Sub. Lucas on the other side of it, running the Bomber plus Fire Spirit plus Snowball. We saw him use a deck that had similar components where he got that beautiful Evo Snowball in the previous set earlier today. Not using the Evo Bomber this time though, selecting to go a different route. So it's looking like we're going to see Hog go against RG, one of the more famous matchups at this point. Definitely seeing, even with a best of 5, we're still seeing a lot of the same decks that we had been seeing earlier today. Beautiful activated ability. Almost pushes the Monk so far behind that the RG was going to go in front. Not going to be the case though. And the RG, with the help of the Goblins, does force out the Evo Snowball. So still a great push for Sub, and he's going to have a 3.5 Elixir advantage. Evo RG in cycle. Lucas in a world of hurt after what started out as a good defense, but Sub was just too strong with it.
We'll see what Lucas does to work his way out of this one. And not in a serious hole Elixir-wise, but certainly a small one. Decides to poison off the Hunter. And that Ice Spirit will just feed that poison.
Beautiful value right there. And Lucas takes the lead with the help of the poison spell. Bomber up top to try and take out as much of the Monk as possible. And that Snowball, I think it got corrected in its path because of the ability from the Monk. Sometimes I can never tell them.
Slowdown play from the Snowball does create some knockback. Lucas able to hold at the bridge, but now finds himself in a growing Elixir hole behind by almost 4 ticks against Sub as we move closer to sudden death.
I had been wondering if Sub was getting a little too aggressive with his pressure in ways where even if he was getting an Elixir advantage, it never felt like he really had an opportunity to make it make it past the Teslas. But I think it was really just waiting for double Elixir, trying to set himself up for double or triple Elixir. And now this is really where it starts to get scary if you're Lucas. It's going to require beautiful defense, and Sub already has another RG. This time it's going to be the Evo RG, so Lucas struggling for this defense.
And uses the Evo Snowball to give himself some room and a bit of a reset. Time to get back to a Tesla, and he does. The Evo Tesla with its stun. And that was just a beautiful defense out of Lucas, and knowing that as he was setting up and had a Evo RG coming, made sure he had that Evo snowball ready to give him that breathing room.
Skeletons at the bridge to make sure that the hunter stays within the range. And the rage coming out, it's going to force the Mighty Miner off of the RG. The Monk pushing it back, but again, Lucas, perfection on his defense. But still, it feels like every single time it's been perfect from Lucas, and yet Sub still has the lead.
And the Bomber trying to clear some room, and just like that, Lucas opens it up. 1898 on the right-hand side. And you know, one thing, Josh, when you look at at Sub's deck, as these drills become more frequent, he does have some potential challenges with defense. Hunter can do some work against it, guards can do some work, but doesn't have a small spell to clear, and this Royal Giant's going to do a ton of damage. Tesla late, has to snowball to move it all back, so the lead moves right back. I'm surprised he's going offense on the drill. I thought that drill should have been defensive here out of Lucas.
Yeah, you have to give yourself an opportunity. I understand the thought process for Lucas, but it comes down to your 0.3 elixir away from getting the Tesla down.
He could get creative and go somewhere in Graveyard. Bridge spam still available. He has poison. So very curious if Sub, and he decides to go with Skeleton Barrel, the Evo diversion.
It's going to be interesting to see what Lucas's deck is, because when I see Goblin Hut, I think of Goblin Hut Poison. Sub on the other side, that is going to be a little too early, I believe, with the Goblin spell. And yeah, no Goblins are really going to spawn out from that. Lucas, so far, running a Little Prince, plus the Wall Breakers, plus the Miner. Okay, I can absolutely live with a Miner deck for game number 4 if I'm a fan of Lucas.
Well, let's see if he can make it work. Similar notes on both sides. So no surprises here that Lucas running Log in this game. You know, a lot of the options he would have faced, Log would have been nice against. One of the small spells he had left. And the Evo Skeleton Barrel pushing on the left-hand side.
So both of them are going to pop on top of the tower, get in the tower 600 HP worth of damage. A lot to take. Sub going to be able to respond with a zap of his own, but misses a couple of the skellies. Not going to matter too much, but it is going to allow the Little Prince to get a little bit of value. And this actually ended up mattering quite a bit more than I expected.
Kind of a lot of value, actually, and the lead to Lucas, 1864 on that left-hand lane as he pressures one more time with his Skeleton Barrel.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful interaction right there. You
Wow.
can get the Spear Goblin to target that. And the Golden Knight, it always feels like it takes everything out immediately, but the Skeletons are still going to stack up just a little bit and gets the tower down to 1557.
High Spirit Berserker to cover against the Miner, and now in game number 4 as we enter the final 30 seconds of regulation play. Lucas with an early high rocket on all of that. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a prediction or what exactly it was. It was a pretty solid value, though. And Sub, it's going to be tough to get past it. You have the zap, you have the Goblin Curse, but you don't really have anything to take out these Goblin Huts. I'm going to see how he wants to adjust as this game goes on.
You know, another thing about the rocket situation for Sub to contend with is he really has to play this in, like, everything. It's hard playing everything high on this left-hand side, right? There is going to be no real building any pushes. He can't cycle the cannon cart in the back pretty much ever, right? Otherwise, he'll end up off his wheels, giving a ton of damage. So it does force the fight to take place closer to the bridge.
And right here,
Cannon Court connects. Oh, my word. Oh, wow. And has to do a little fanciness to recover from that, does Lucas. But suddenly, and the Golden Knight connects as well. Lucas has to log, and suddenly, Sub has turned a disadvantage into a potential steal and a second finals appearance here in a monthly.
Oh, and if he gets the ability off, that could be game. It
Oh.
is Sub. He's gonna do it. Loses game number 1, game 2, game 3, game 4. Wins them all. Sub with the 3-1 set victory going against Lucas and smiling, cheesing hard.
Now, interesting to note here that because Sub already has a silver ticket, he can't get another silver ticket. We didn't call this out early. Making the championship and his second shot at getting a golden ticket.
Yeah. Just incredible set from him. And it really does feel like while Lucas was getting very creative and be disappointed in his performance in that way, but he is going to be able to do what he's doing. It gets me riled up because he should be done soon, and he's not. It doesn't make sense.
Well, here we go, your grand final. Mohamed Light with the chance to secure yet another World Finals appearance. Would be 5 in a row, appearing at all of our solo World Finals. And Sub. Either way, and we'll talk about the points picture at the end of the day some more as we've mentioned. But either way, now with making it into the top 2, Sub is guaranteed 90 points for the second time, which will put him at 180 and firmly in the lead overall for that points leaderboard. And I think that the number 6 player on the points leaderboard is maybe going to have like just better than half that points-wise. So he's going to be way ahead of everybody with only 2 more monthly finals left. So either way, my guess is Sub is going to World Finals, whether he wins a golden ticket now or does it by qualifying on points. But, of course, he'd love to just get it sewn up and win that 15K.
Yeah. He has to be feeling absolutely fantastic about his spot. And right there, Mohamed Light going to try the same thing, and this time it works. I saw him mutter to himself, and he said, wow. And I was saying the exact same thing. Put down the Knight on top of the wall breakers. One of them still connected. I don't know if it's what the situation was, but this time defended it properly and no chip damage. And again, we talk about Sub trying not to be predictable. Again, he uses bait in game number 1.
And the same variant, too. He's not changing things up. So just likes this as game 1 for his BO5s. And first graveyard push in for Mohamed. And the Dark Goblin does finally step into the poison. Spears will add a little bit more to it, and that's a pretty significant chunk of damage, plus a swing from the Barbarian.
Yeah, cannot be happy with that. Mohamed Light just trying to make every prediction that he can, even when it's not necessary. He just wants to show you that he could. And right there, that was necessary. Protects his Goblin Hut. And an absolute beauty of a defense and a beauty of an offense. Just putting on a clinic like we're just used to at this point.
Yeah, put this kid on the Wheaties box. Our barrel onto the right-hand side in response to the Goblin Barrel. I predicted the defense on that one. No worries.
The next Mohamed Light. Whenever
and
you
my thumbs
choose.
would have to work.
Dark Goblin over the middle, going to be able to take out the Goblin Hut entirely. And so the Bar Barrel does take it out. Has to be worried about the Evo Goblin Barrel. That's exactly what happens. The Witch will be fine. You're going to get a couple chip shots. But Mohamed Light just a little too early on his prediction of the Goblin Barrel coming down.
Into the right-hand side. Dark Goblin just hanging out too far away for Mohamed Light to get any value. Now Poison will come out late. And look at that Skeleton working on the left-hand lane as well. Doesn't matter. Right-hand lane done. Muhammad Light wins game number 1.
Yeah, beautiful recognition of how he wanted to end the game. The witches. So it doesn't do enough, and I think we need to see some changes.
All right, game 2. Mo opens up with the Fire Spirit. Curse will stop it and reverse it.
Flip it and reverse it.
And a bit of a slow start for this one now. Sub maybe trying to weigh his options, but we might be into the very rare in the modern era staring contest, and no, Sub decides we're not going to wait.
Yeah, every once in a while you see it with the Chef decks and the Cannoneer decks. Not super often where you see it with the Princess Towers, and that's why both players electing to play Muhammad Light using the Mighty Miner plus the Fireball. Sub on the other side running the Xyz. So trying to figure out what I believe his deck is going to be, and I still do not know. Still kind of just waiting and to see what he's going to be using.
Ram Rider into the right-hand lane. And Mo opts for the Snowball and Fire Spirit to stop the connection. Sub cycles both his small spells.
Goblin Barrel, or the Goblin Spell, actually got quite a bit more value than I expected. Because of the Goblin Spell, the Spear Goblins were able to survive and force out the guards, so definitely really like that play from Sub. And Sub, I really expected to see Mega Knight be his final card. Not going to be the case. Going to be running the Boss Bandit, Quick Cycle, Ram Rider. We don't really see this because it always feels like you need that tank. It's going to be interesting to see as this game goes along if the lack of tank is going to end up hurting him or allowing him to cycle quickly enough to win.
Well, I mean, what kind of role is the Evo Xyz going to play in this one, right? With a little bit of tankiness, add in the knockback.
Yeah, the problem is with this matchup, there's nothing to really knock back. The Mighty Miner doesn't get knocked back. When it's used on top of the Goblin Drill, it's still going to get value. This is kind of a nightmare scenario for an Evo Xyz deck.
All that gets brought back. Zap trying to slow things down. I like the thought from Muhammad Light of trying to push through with the Evo Snowball. Doesn't get as much from it, so we go to sudden death overtime. Muhammad with the 1 game lead and 600-ish damage in that right-hand lane.
Sub cycling the Evo Xyz in the back, trying all sorts of angles to try and get through. Does force out the Mighty Miner on the left side, so that can be pretty interesting to see how that ends up affecting things. And we've got a push going. Evo Xyz plus the Ram Rider, it's going to do something.
And forces the Snowball out from Muhammad Light to make sure that connection doesn't happen. 90 seconds left, and Sub now back to the drawing board trying to figure out how does he get into the second level.
Goes in with the Evo Cannon, going to be able to take everything out. And elects to protect his Goblin Demolisher. I was wondering if he wanted to go in with the drill on the left side. He just wants to play defense, defense, defense. And right there does miss the Fireball because of the activated ability.
Ghost on the left-hand side will require some attention. Cannon comes down to pull both. Mighty Miner does distract the Ghost. And Muhammad Light's defense continues to be pitch perfect. And now he decides to go on the offensive.
The double Goblin Demolisher pushes are just so unbelievably powerful. The Ghost goes invisible. That allows the Goblin Demolisher to lock onto the Xyz. And another Goblin Demolisher trying to take it out. Wow, these Xyz's just not getting any value whatsoever.
Evo Snowball to roll all of it back. Drill puts the discussion over back on Sub's side, and Sub just going to kind of slowly bleed. Mohamed Light, patient as always, and now one win away from what we expect to say is Mohamed Light with the golden ticket.
Yeah, I mean, just gorgeous offense, gorgeous defense. And the thing is, like, how it always kills me how these top competitors, these top 5 players, top 10 players in the world celebrate when Mohamed Light wins a monthly final when they're not playing in it. They are so happy. They're only rooting for him because they know just how dangerous he is. Game 3 on its way. Can Mohamed Light get the sweep? Will Sub take game 3 and force a game 4? Let's find out here.
Mighty Miner guards for Sub. Oh, interesting. Getting a clarification on this one. If Mohamed Light wins the golden ticket, Sub's extra would go to Lucas for being the 3rd in this place. But if Sub wins the golden ticket, his old silver ticket would go to the player who got 3rd in the event where he earned it. So if Sub somehow wins the golden ticket, his silver ticket would go to Vitor, who got 3rd place in that event. So that's fascinating information.
Yeah, a lot of, and I mean, just think how crazy it's going to get once we reach those final months of the monthly finals. Here, though, Mohamed Light running his patented Miner plus Tesla plus Little Prince. This is something that he rarely, if ever, loses with, so it's going to be very hard, but we're going to see what Sub has ready for Mohamed Light.
And Mighty Miner switches the field. Log to clear, doesn't do much. Little Prince going to take the Firecracker off the board. Rocket to clear the Tesla. No combination, though. Mohamed Light not able to get enough elixir to get the Guardian out in front of the Little Prince. So it gets Rocket value alone.
And then right there, that's a net 5 for net 5 between Sub and Mohamed Light when they got their pushes. The Miner plus Rocket with the Tesla defended. And the difference between the Rocket damage and the Earthquake damage was just so massive. Sub trying a lot of different things, but I think it's got to do something with Firecracker chip damage. I just don't know how you do that. It's just such perfect defense coming from Mohamed Light every time.
Valk up high. Princess staying alive. Evo Firecracker will clear her off the board. So as we go into sudden death overtime, Mohamed Light plenty of elixir and just already playing the rocket cycle game.
Yeah, pretty shocking with all those troops coming down the field, still thinking that it was okay for him to use the rocket like this. And he's going to defend with the rocket as well. With the Earthquake, that might get a second shot, but no, only gets 1 shot from the Firecracker.
18-17, 15-55. Miner to the back. Guards get their shields ripped off. And forcing Sub to play the right lane. This is the thing that Mohamed Light really is going to like here. And he is just ripping these rockets onto tower.
Yeah, no regard for anything besides just getting as much chip damage as he possibly can. Valk not going to be able to bring over the Firecracker, so the Firecracker is going to get a little bit of chip damage. No log in cycle for Mohamed Light, so some sort of push, but right there, beautiful E-Spirit chains on top of the Firecracker.
Well, and you just see the way that Mohamed sees the various options, right? He knew that even though he might not be in a good Tesla situation for that hog, he had Evo Valk. So the number of different defenses he has, he'll have something here. He'll have Tesla for this one. Yep, Evo Tesla up high, able to rocket cycle. And this is just absolute shutdown city because of the wide variety of options he has. The victory rocket, and Mohamed Light does it once again. yet another monthly final, yet another golden ticket for the Pharaoh, two-time world champion and owner of a very, very nice-looking cat. Both locked in, and as you can see on screen here, we mentioned beforehand, Muhammad Light winning the golden ticket. Since Sub already has a silver ticket, the silver ticket from this event will drop down to Lucas, who is now guaranteed a spot in the Last Chance qualifier. If he does not go, we'll definitely be seeing Lucas